Hey all, and welcome to this special behind the scenes video. First off, I have to say a huge thank you to everyone who helped us hit the 1 million subscriber milestone. Who would have thought a channel like this would ever reach 1 million subscribers? A lot of you have been asking for a bit of a tour, so I've put this video together answering some of the more common questions I get asked. To kick things off, I'll give you a quick walk around of the area where I work. It's actually just the garage that I've converted into a bit of a studio by adding some DIY LED light panels to a few boom arms. Lighting is definitely one of the most important aspects when it comes to filming the tutorials. The backdrop behind the workbench has changed many times over the years, but I think I've found my ideal setup. I ended up using some IKEA 2x4 storage shelves and built a wooden frame to hold them. Then it was just a matter of making approximately 88 drawers that fit into each of those cubes. These drawers make working much easier and more efficient because everything is basically within arm's reach. Before this, I'd be making constant trips back and forth from the storage cupboard or into storage boxes full of random materials. Nothing would get put back, and I'd end up with a huge mess around my feet while I worked. As for getting started in the hobby, I actually started not all that long ago. I made a few random models as a kid, like some Airfix plane kits, but it wasn't until about 2013 when I started to get serious about taking up model railroading. Pretty much around the time I started this YouTube channel. I actually still have the first model kit I built back in 2013 when I got started. It's the Campbell's Wayside Freight Station and was given to me by a friend / mentor, Graham, who was really helpful in getting me started in the hobby. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what do I do with the dioramas after they're built? Well, this is the Diorama Retirement Village. Basically, after completing the video, they live here. Some of them will sit on the shelf behind my workspace as a bit of a showcase that are visible in some of the new videos, and others after a while will get dismantled to make new dioramas. I usually try to reuse buildings and trees if I can. If it's a diorama I'm particularly proud of, they will sometimes live on my desk for a while until a new one takes its place. And for those of you wondering, no, the dioramas don't connect together. I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult to expand upon the models, but at the moment they don't connect. I'm actually about to build a series of dioramas that will connect together, a bit like a modular model train layout, which will be a lot of fun and should end up in quite an interesting series of videos. If the models are positioned in just the right way, you can give the illusion that the models connect, but as soon as the viewing angle is raised, it becomes quite obvious that they don't actually go together. Other common questions I get asked are, how long did it take and how much did it cost? Calculating the cost of each diorama is a bit of a guessing game. Many of the materials I use are bought in bulk, and only a small portion gets used on any one particular diorama. So when it comes to things like Sculptamold, static grass, ground foams, resins, and things like that, I have to roughly estimate how much was used. For other details like buildings and vehicles, I can be a little more specific. So the total cost might not be perfect, but it will be quite close. I'm not including the cost of tools I use to help create the models either. Some are quite specialised tools like the laser cutter and 3D printer, and the pricing of tools can vary quite a lot. So here are some of my favourites with rough costs and build times. Part of the reason these models take so long to build is mostly due to filming them at the same time. I'll often do a particular technique multiple times, filming it from a number of different angles, which can often double or triple the time it would normally take to make the model if I wasn't filming. For example, the largest model I've built so far is the Muddy River diorama. It took roughly 39 hours to build over about 3 weeks. However, if I didn't need to film the building process, you could quite easily complete a project like this in 10 to 15 hours or even less. On the other hand, a project like the Magna Rail took roughly 32 hours to build. However, this would likely still take about 15 hours or more to build given the complexity of the project. Buildings and special effects like the working vehicles take time to ensure they are done properly. I don't usually do much more to a model once it's finished, but sometimes I'll make improvements after the cameras are off. On this model, for example, I added a backdrop and some overhead lighting, and when viewed from the right angle, it's very effective. Building the Surf Wave was quite a challenge, but it turned out great. Believe it or not, but that's a 3D printed model of the Silver Surfer from Fantastic Four surfing the wave. Even though I was quite happy with the results, I think I'll revisit this model in the future to improve on the technique. A lot of you won't have seen this one. It was a video I filmed for Trainmasters TV. I love adding little jobs to a scene. It just adds a little bit more of an interaction. Having to open the gate or open the door gets the person operating the scene to feel more connected with the model. And finally, the Freight House, with full interior lighting. This model is just so much fun to look at and spot all the little details inside the building. Once the models are finished, keeping them clean is another challenge. Sometimes a bit of dust can actually create a bit of a wetted effect, but more often than not we do our best to avoid dust. After a while, I'll often give the models a quick clean by either dusting them with a soft brush to disturb the dust and suck it up with a vacuum cleaner. But if you do use this method, just be careful with the trees and bushes because it doesn't take much to completely remove the foliage. I'll also simply use the airbrush to blow away dust from areas that are more fragile or from areas that are a bit more difficult to reach. This model is over 6 years old and I've probably cleaned it about 3 or 4 times. To clean off any water effects or water features, I've found the Woodland Scenics Dust Dabber works quite well. It's very easy to use. Just pull away a small amount and press it over the water feature. It will pick up loose bits of debris and dust. It works especially well around rough water ripples. Once I'm done, I put it into a separate bag and keep using it until it's ready to be thrown away. But to be honest, the best way to clean your models and dioramas is by preventing dust getting on them in the first place. Any messy jobs like spray painting and sanding is best done outside as a start. If you have small dioramas and models, putting them in a display case will also help. But unfortunately, dust is just one of those problems that we need to deal with and manage. I'd love to be able to make models more regularly, but as you can see, it takes quite a long time to make each diorama. Making them approximately once a month gives me enough time to plan the next model and put more time into ensuring I get the filming process just right. Having a good balance between building these models, family life, and work is important. My particular job requires quite a lot of my time to stay current. I have to read and stay up to date with constant changes, and also make sure I know my stuff for the regular checks that we are subject to. Every few months we get tested on emergency procedures and knowledge just to make sure that we are safe. So that's a little bit of a look into what I do and what it looks like behind the camera. I hope you enjoyed seeing that behind the scenes tour, and I hope you to continue to enjoy the future videos I've planned. Once again, thank you so much for helping this channel reach the amazing milestone of 1 million subscribers. Cheers, and thanks for watching.